Fans, Oriole fan. Oh my goodness. They had a donut all on my mouth there. Thank you very much. You see what goes on here. I'm eating while she goes live here. So thank you very much, Raven fans, Oriole fans. Thank you very much. I'm Charles, the owner of Ravery Sports. Thank you for joining us this week for the Ravery Sports podcast, the Baltimore Sports podcast for fans like me. Definitely. Let's get the business out of the way. Like and subscribe to all of our social media platforms. Definitely, if you're watching this, you're obviously watching us right now on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, on our Twitter page, or X, or whatever they're calling it this week, or you're watching it on that, or you're watching us on our Twitch channel. That's it. Pretty soon, we're going to have some different stuff on the Twitch channel, so bear with me and be patient there. We are going to have a little bit of gaming stuff eventually on that Twitch channel. So we're going to go ahead and do that as well. So go ahead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, tell all your friends that you're enjoying the Ravery Sports podcast on one of those channels as well. Definitely as well. Ravery Sports tour. Last week we were out at the Shen Valley Flea Market again. Here in Winchester, they see Raven stuff. Not everybody is Raven fans. So thank God for them too. We were out there again. We will be out there at that one again Saturday, very early, 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, this coming Saturday. So we'll be there September 2nd, 8 o'clock. So definitely watch out for notifications. Should be going up right after this stream is over when you're airing this on Wednesday night. So definitely, you should be seeing notifications if you are going to come out there. Come check us out and buy some of our products if you just want to go ahead and talk sports. 8 a.m. on Saturday to about 12. We will go ahead and be out there as well. Genesis Notary Services is in the Shenandoah Valley area. You see it right now, right across the bottom of the screen there. Genesis Notary Services @/Facebook.com. Definitely. So if you are in the Shenandoah Valley area, you could go ahead and check us out. And we're going to do something a little different. Now, this is not sports related, but our first live stream for Genesis Notary Services. So we are going to go ahead and talk a little bit about Genesis Notary Services on the Genesis Notary Services Facebook page. That live stream will be Monday, coming September 4th at 12 noon. So we'll be on there from about 12 to 12:30. Definitely on there talking about our business. We just had some training. We're adding field inspection to our business. We're adding also to we already have the wedding officiant. We're having mobile notaries like this. So we are training for a couple things, apostille and also to our loan signings. So definitely we will come out if you are in the Shenandoah Valley area. That will be on the Facebook page for Genesis Notary Services. Okay. Also, as well, last bit of business, ravorisports.company.site. So definitely the website is there. If you want to buy any of our products and services, definitely check it out. Our website, definitely, if you want hats, jerseys, Ravens t-shirts, got a few Maryland items now on there as well. So definitely check it out. Or if it's easier for you, definitely go to our email, ravorisports@gmail.com. You can go ahead and reach out there as well. Awesome. So let's go ahead and kick this off here with a little Ravens football. We did have the final cuts. So the Ravens did have their final preseason game the other day. I'm going to go ahead and give my thoughts on the game. And also as well, we had our cut downs for the Ravens as well. So we did have the final cuts for the Baltimore Ravens as well. So now we're down to 53 play. Now we're down to 53 for the entire league. Everybody is going ahead now. No more 80-70 preseason. It's not all, but over. It all is over. Now we can go ahead and focus on the regular season game. First regular season game is next week. So we're definitely going to go ahead and get that squared away as well. So go ahead and definitely check us out. So what we're going to do here, I'm pulling it up now here. We're going to pull up our thoughts here on why, on what happened in the preseason game. So the Ravens played a preseason game. They definitely played their last preseason game against the Tampa Bay Bucks on Saturday night. Definitely there. And we definitely are going to go ahead and get that taken care of as well. So what happened in the preseason game with the Tampa Bay Bucks? 5 things that definitely happened in the game here. Keaton Mitchell definitely was a factor. Keaton Mitchell actually did make the Ravens, so that's absolutely outstanding. Keaton Mitchell didn't play in the game. So I thought that was already a clue about his fate. Usually a guy, I said this also a couple years ago here with RG3. If you're not playing in the last game, the only reason that you wouldn't play is that you're being saved for the regular season, right? So there is the graphic there where he is not going, where he didn't play. So there's no other reason that a guy wouldn't play, except for that game to save in the regular season. He would actually go ahead and play if he's played. So that was kind of a clue that he made the final 53. We're going to go over that in a second as well. So Keaton Mitchell, shout out to Keaton Mitchell. Congratulations, him making the 53 as predicted by a lot of people out there. I didn't think the Ravens would carry 4 backs as well as he played, but he deserves it. Congratulations to him. Josh Johnson, 53. Was very impressive, but he didn't make the 53. I don't think this is the last time we see him. I'm more and more think he's definitely going to be in the practice squad. We still don't know what's going on with Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley did make the 53. So he's not a starter, but I can tell you it's possible that they need Josh Johnson around on the practice squad on some role with the franchise because you want to go ahead and keep him around. He was cut, but I'm almost positive we'll still see him in some role with the franchise because especially not knowing the status of Tyler Huntley. He looked pretty good. He's 37 years old, so he's not a guy that's that you're going to build around in the future. But I thought he was fairly impressive in that role preseason. Backup quarterback, solid backup. That's exactly what you're looking for. David Ojabo. There's big questions here. I was unimpressed again, and he was the only starter that didn't play. Man, I took some heat for this one. This turned out to be a hot take. Everybody is making what I call excuses for David Ojabo. I heard somebody came at me in the comments, oh, he's not a starter. They don't view him as a starter. And also, too, this guy here is not they were just getting them some reps, and they weren't they was just doing vanilla stuff. And I heard a couple other parts, well, it's just he looks for 3 preseason games, and I haven't seen much. I'm sorry. I don't. That could be true, and I hope you're right about that, whoever that is. But I kept hearing that like they're not a dominant player, even in a setting like that, is dominant. That's just the truth. Like a guy, even if they're just getting like workout or reps, but he's been less than impressive rather in the preseason. So I mean, I really couldn't say anything else. Man, could be right. Could be just he's holding back. He's just not doing what he would normally do in the regular season. I hope that's right. Preseason games, that's an impressive. I mean, that's just all there was to it. This actually did happen. James Prochet, I said he had 0 chance to make the Ravens. He did not make the Ravens. He was cut by the Ravens. No surprise. Uh, I don't want to be too harsh because I did hear, and I'm not 1,000% sure about this, that his mother passed away, and so losing a parent can affect anybody. So I don't know if that was the reason. I think even with that notwithstanding, not to be insensitive to that, he wasn't good the preseason. And I think he was hanging on by a thread. I don't think they had him in the future plans anyway. I think possibly, I'm not even sure with him, a good preseason, outstanding preseason would have saved him. Maybe he'd have held on to that 6th spot instead of Tylan Wallace, but I don't think he was in the future plans. They brought in all these receivers. He's been with us a couple of years. I don't think it was for James Prochet. Had some chances too. I think that factored in as well. And the biggest thing here at the end as well, Ravens, no major injuries except for Nick Moore. So Nick Moore had the season-ending injury. They really got away unscathed. They're not going to have maybe Tyus Bowser for the first 4 games. We'll go over that. Marlon Humphrey's not going to play. Pepe Williams, a couple guys, but they didn't have guys out for the season except for Nick Moore. So that's very good. You may not have Andrew Voorhees all season, but they knew about his injury going in. So this wasn't a thing where they drafted him knowing. All right. So we went over that with the game. Let's go over the cuts. More specifically, there's a long list here. I think we got them all. So Josh Ross played last year. He was released. Sean Ryan, good for the first few weeks. He was released. Jalen Thomas probably would have been cut earlier had it been the old methods. Travis Belcher, a lot of people were pushing him. I thought he was pretty good. Arguing to be made, he should have been kept Kolar. Shocked if they didn't try to keep him on the practice squad. Christian Welch, I think, got with him for the last couple of years. He pretty much got beat out on special teams. That's pretty much what happened to him. Owen Wright, Angelo Blackston. Blackston signed in the offseason. I kept seeing that they were only going to keep 5 guys on their team. So 5 linemen, basically what they did. Melvin Gordon was cut. A lot of news about it. I mean, he's a veteran guy. No surprise to me. We already talked about Josh Johnson. Sam Mustipher. So he was cut as well. Bit of a surprise, I thought he's going to be the backup center because you definitely need that. So that telling me McCary, he's going to be your starter, the backup guy at center. I think like that, looking at the roster. Kevon Seymour was cut as well. I don't think he was really cut. Pepe Williams on the roster. Pepe Williams is not going to be there. He's going to be injured. So I think Kevon Seymour may stay. We'll see. Tyreek Black is gone. Anthony Brown is gone. Takeem Gus, gone. Tay Hayes. Kai Blue Kelly. Could he be the one that replaces Pepe Williams on the roster? I'm thinking it's going to be Kevon Seymour. I think he just got outplayed. I think he's just not ready to play. What they should do is put him on practice squad and see if he gets better. I'm all for that. I don't agree with a lot of the group thinking that they wouldn't cut him because he's a threat. I don't think they ever thought that. I thought too much was made of that. I think the guy's not. I think it didn't happen because they had good picks. I think because he was a pick, that's not the reason. And Kai Kelly just didn't play well. That's just fact of the matter. I think he's got some potential, so I think they're going to put him on practice squad and they did draft him. And I think that's what's going to happen there. Jeremy Lucien, Tayshaun Manning were cut. Ben Mason, they tried a couple times with Ben Mason. I think he might have made another team, but Pat Ricard's in his way. He couldn't beat out Pat Ricard. Jeremiah Moon showed some flashes. Rashawn Nichols, James Prochet. We already talked about Prochet. Also to cut David Sharp. LaCron Treadwell was cut. The John Harbaugh guy, Brent Urban, book that one for sure. Everybody goes past him. No chance. He's not around. Harbaugh loves Brent Urban as a player, and Daryl Worley was cut as well. Been playing safety. I'm not sure which one of those three is going to replace Pepe. I think Daryl Worley has a shot at it too, because Daryl Worley definitely Pepe Williams is definitely not going to be on the roster. He actually did make it, but he's injured, so he may not play all season or most of the season. So keep that in mind. Tyus Bowser, still on the reserve non-football injury list, showed up in camp on crutches. Harbaugh was saying that it's a possibility he could play. He kind of backed off of that. He's going to miss the first 4 games for sure. Nick Moore, with the season injury, won't play at all this season. Andrew Voorhees, we talked about him as well. He's not going to play at all, probably at all, this year. What else happened here as far as that goes? Couple things. Ravens continue their streak, undrafted free agents. Keaton Mitchell, local product. 2 local products, actually. Keaton Mitchell actually goes ahead, makes the team's undrafted free agent. He's going to be their 4th running back. Keaton Mitchell was very good. I really believe this is I don't know how much he's going to play, as excited as everybody is. That's a lot of running backs to carry. 4 and a fullback, whatever you call a card, or see it says tight end or whatever it is. That's a lot to carry. Malik Ham, Baltimore City College graduate, from what I understand, actually makes the roster of the Baltimore Ravens as well. Good for him. Little bit of a surprise. I mean, this wasn't a name I even heard float a lot as far as that goes. I thought it would be Christian Welch, Deshaun Williams, Sean Phillips actually did make the roster as well. So that's good. So that's outstanding that these 2 guys make the roster. We talked about Brent Urban, probably brought back. He was cut. I think he's a John Harbaugh guy. You can pretty much put that. I'm pretty sure of the guys that's going to replace somebody on the roster. The Pepe Williams spot is definitely there. So we'll definitely see, I think, Brent Urban. Ben Cleveland makes the team. Good for him. Mustipher was cut. Ben Cleveland stayed. That surprised me. Everybody kept saying he was better as the camp went on. I think that's kind of right. I think what it is with him, and this is just me speculating. Okay, so I haven't heard anybody else say this or even watch this. Some guys as linemen don't play well on one side or the other. I think that's got to be it, what they've seen, because they've tried several times to put him with the left guard and put. So certain guys, not everybody, but like sometimes you get a passer and carry, he can play any position on the line, and some guys, there are guys that can play left tackle and they can't play right tackle. There were several guys that were like that can't, and he might be one of those guys. He's just better on the right side. That's got to be what they're thinking. That's why I'm surprised. I would have went with Mustipher to go ahead. I would have went the backup center, a little bit more versatility, but they're keeping Ben Cleveland. Stala, I don't think there was any question about it. I heard some say wasn't as good in the pre. There's enough there for a guy, a 6th round rookie, to go ahead and keep him. So it's definitely one of those 2. And good for him, Ben Cleveland. I'm pretty sure though too. Something else that factored in is, even if they are sound on him, that he has enough of a resume that somebody would have taken. That's probably also a factor as well. That somebody would have signed Ben Cleveland to their roster. So that's definitely a factor as well. One more note with the Ravens and our season kickoff spectacle here. They were in on Jonathan Taylor. Heard this in several places. I didn't think for sure it was going to happen, simply because I think the team that they're dealing with. The Colts are very tough to deal with. The Ravens are very tough to deal with. So if they were looking for a first round, they couldn't be serious. I mean, no running back nowadays is fetching a first round. So I think a 3rd or 4th. I think the Ravens might have been willing to part with a 5th round or something, but they weren't gonna. No team was wanting to sign up a long time. I think they would have signed him. I think like if push comes to shove, they definitely might have been interested because he's an outstanding back by all accounts. But interesting that they were at least looking at that. So next week, we're going to go over the first game. We're going to preview it here on the Ravery Sports podcast. So definitely check that out as we check the first Ravens game as we go ahead and play the Houston Texans. And we'll go ahead and get that squared away. A couple other notes, a couple channel notes, and we're obviously you see on the screen. We're gonna go over the last of our series, the top 10, the top 10 coaches in the NFL. I mentioned the Genesis Notary Services live stream that's on Monday. The Terps season preview, we're gonna do that one on Friday. So the first Terps game is on Saturday. So we're gonna go over that as well. And on Sunday night, we're going to do our preseason predictions for the NFL. So definitely that's not going to be just Ravens. That's going to be the entire NFL. We're going to go ahead and go over that for the entire league. So top 10 coaches in the NFL. This is my list. So this is the last of our list. Who are the top 10 head coaches in the entire NFL? Far as all of our head coaches. I'm more a guy that think players matter. I think coaching is kind of overrated in all sports. Unless you have a top guy or really somebody with a lot of experience, a lot of, I think a lot of them, it's a bit overrated coaching. I think players decide. But coaches do help. Coaches are important and not unimportant. But let's go ahead and take a look at the top 10 coaches in the NFL. Nick Sirianni just went to the Super Bowl last year. Really turned around the Eagles team. Really under that Andy Reid tree of sorts. Worked with Peterson. Sirianni, I think, really understands the roster. Really has done a good job in a short period of time. I can't put him higher because he hasn't been a coach that long. But phenomenal job. This is one of the best turnaround jobs I've seen. So Sirianni is definitely at the helm of that. Nick Sirianni at number 10. Defense, Sean McDermott. Everybody, a lot of people, I heard Calvin Cowherd say this a lot. Well, you got to have an offensive coach. Calvin is wrong. He's absolutely wrong. You look at the longevity, look at this list and a lot of the longevity. Defensive coaches. A lot of these offensive guys kind of burn out in several years. Not in all cases, but defensive guys really are built to last. And I think Sean McDermott is one of these type coaches. This is an old school in a cold weather city, kind of fits the profile. His defenses is always really, really good. That's what makes the Bills contenders. He's got a great quarterback, obviously, but he's got those really good defenses. When you have a Sean McDermott defense, very simple, old school, aggressive defense that puts him in the top 10. Kyle Shanahan. I do think he's a bit overstated by media. My goodness. Because he hasn't really won a Super Bowl. He hasn't, he's a bit overstated. Love that offense, though. He's running basically his dad's offense that he had, basically the Bill Walsh offense, the Mike Shanahan version of the Bill Walsh offense, maybe the running version. That it's exactly what he's doing, and that's exactly what he's running, and it works. That's why I can have a Brock Purdy offense. This guy really understands offense. He's been an offensive coach for a long time, and he's got a great defense. I think he's very decisive. I think, though, the only issue with him is he really hasn't done much with the quarterback yet. He doesn't really, for an offensive guy, he really hasn't found his guy. But that's why I have him a little bit lower. But Kyle Shanahan wins a lot of games. No question about it. This is maybe one of my favorite coaches on the list, Mike Vrabel. I love Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is an outstanding I would, if I played, I'd love to play for Mike Vrabel. He was first of all, he was an outstanding player. This guy played under Bill Belichick. He played football at the NFL, which I think is a really good thing. His teams always played toughness on both sides. That's the thing. They really mirror their coach. I think defensively, he's always going to have a good team. I think definitely Mike Vrabel's teams, and I like the fact that he's done a lot with a little. Not a lot of superstar players that he has, not a lot of some of that's on the GM or the picking of the team. But Vrabel has kept his teams in contention. I think Tennessee will be fine as long as they have Mike Vrabel with the coach. He's not going to let his team fall into the abyss. Mike Tomlin, what can you say? I think it's 16 straight winning seasons. Never had a losing season. That speaks a lot for itself. Tomlin, I think, is an intense guy, and he mirrors intensity for his whole team. You can see it all through the team, the Tomlin footprint. Great defensive coach. He's pretty much the last of that Tony Dungy tree guys that are still in the league as well. So Tomlin, I think, is probably the best in the league at rallying a team through difficult circumstances, as well as I guess. I'm not talking about game circumstances, but I'm talking about season and overall. His guys believe in him. That's a lot. I think Bradshaw said rah like it's like that's a bad thing or something. Tomlin really gets the most out of his guys. Let's go to a smart guy here, John Harbaugh, our coach. John Harbaugh, I think, understands. There's two guys that Harbaugh reminds me of that nobody ever says. He reminds me of Bill Belichick in the sense of two great coaches. He reminds me of Bill Belichick. He doesn't I'll put it this way. I think the Ravens have worked with him for his media polish, but that's not really what he is. He's an old school, tough coach. He doesn't really like talking to media. He doesn't really like he doesn't like divulging anything. He's very secretive in terms of his game plan and everything. I think Harbaugh is as old school as it gets. The thing I love about him is his special teams are always outstanding. He understands that better than any head coach I've ever seen. I understand you got Justin Tucker and all that, but I'm not even talking about the punt teams and the return team. John Harbaugh's teams there is second to none. He understands all 53 guys very well. I've always been impressed with his ability with that. The biggest negative with him is he's a bit over aggressive at times. I think he's got too much. You don't need to go for every fourth down. You don't need to. It's a bit much at times. But Harbaugh has a great understanding of the game. Number 5, Sean McVay blew him off the rose a little bit, but what he's been able to do has been phenomenal. I think his teams have kind of been overstated. I think it's a lot more of him than he gets a lot of credit, but I think he should get it. I think hasn't had really a great quarterback, had like a revolving running backs, has a really good receiver, but a bunch of receivers, a lot of turnover. Line isn't great. He's still finishing in the top 5 everywhere. So defensive has been good. I think the picks are killing him. I think that I knew that was going to catch up to him, the lack of draft picks. But otherwise, I think Sean McVay's the goods. I think he's outstanding. Number 4, Pete Carroll. Number 3, outstanding defensive coach. Again, another guy with energy. 72 years old. I think he's the oldest coach in the NFL, and all of his teams look just alike. That's a compliment. They play good defense. They run the ball. He has a formula. It works. He has his guys energetically carry it out. Offenses don't always look great. That's the only thing. I think that Russell kind of got frustrated with him and vice versa. That's why he's not there. I think that may catch up with him. But even with Geno Smith, that formula he has works. Pete Carroll is an outstanding coach. I never bought into the genius of Bill Belichick, like some other people did. I just didn't. He's an outstanding coach. I tell you why he's outstanding. He's outstanding because, one, there's no such thing as a Bill Belichick team that doesn't play with massive discipline. That's just not true. Kind of like Greg Popovich in basketball. His teams don't do stupid stuff, get stupid flags. They're ready to play. They're prepared. They do all the things well that you're not going to do. Teams that are undisciplined are not going to beat the Patriots because he's going to understand all those things. So Belichick is outstanding there. So he's really good. Defensively, I think he's a genius. I think he understands defensive football as good as anybody. The first thing I said is I don't buy the genius of Belichick. I think he's way overstated by media. This guy's got no clue about players hate him. Doesn't really seem to have, I don't want to say hate him. Brady wasn't really friends with him. He's not really friends with the Crafts. He doesn't really build relationships. But he doesn't worry about that stuff because he wins so much on Sunday. But he's a bit overstated, but still, the discipline of the Patriots all the time is impeccable. He's number 2. Number 1, Andy Reid. For so long, I said Bill Walsh was the greatest offensive coach in NFL history. Andy Reid, I think, is knocking that door down big time. Funny enough, hearing the tail end for him, he's got the best quarterback he's ever had. But he puts up big offensive numbers no matter who it is. Here's a guy who never really was a coordinator. Worked with Brett Favre and only had defensive guys. Or worked with Brett Favre and was a quarterback coach, and he's got hired by the Eagles same year as Brian Billick, and the rest is history. he's probably at this point, him and Walsh, I think, are the top 2 offensive coaches of all time. There's no question about it. There you go. Top 10 coaches in the NFL. So definitely that is my list of guys who are the top 10 coaches at the NFL. Real quick, I want to go over this. The new Undisputed debuted this week. It's Undisputed with Skip Bayless returned after 2 months. The first one, we saw Keyshawn Johnson, Richard Sherman, Michael Irvin. Different than what the Undisputed we've been seeing. So I definitely think it was different in terms of the format. They're definitely doing so. They've definitely, looks like, at least gone away with the mano-a-mano debate format, which is honestly probably the right thing. That Shannon Sharp is gone. It's unlikely you'll find somebody that it's unlikely that you can replace a Shannon Sharp on there. Funny enough, Shannon Sharp is going to First Take, Skip's old show that he developed. We'll talk about that next week. I like the new Undisputed. I think Keyshawn is outstanding. Sherman and Irvin and Skip, they're gonna pull through. I mean, these guys are ultra loud, things like that. I almost think I do want to more talk about. First of all, I got no problem with the new Undisputed at all. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be good to see First Take different and all that stuff is very cool as well. I almost do want to talk about, though, the reaction to it that I've been seeing. I think a lot of you fans got to understand. I'm not a Skip Bayless or Shannon Sharp or Steven or anything at all like that. I wouldn't even put myself in that category. Look, my numbers speak for themselves. So I wouldn't even say that. I would say this. I hear a lot of people wanting to think that Skip Bayless is scared of certain people, scared of Nick Wright or scared of it. That's not it. He's not scared of anything. This guy is the most cocky guy, arrogant guy. Him and Stephen A. Smith are kind of cut from the same club. So he's not scared of anything. That's the furthest from the truth. He doesn't care at all, and this is my opinion, that if people think Keyshawn's better or Richard Sherman's better or Michael Irvin is better, or they're gonna have Rachel Nichols. Rumor is they're gonna have Josie Anderson, they're gonna have more guys for basketball, different basketball people on. I think I don't think you care about that. What I know you care about as a content creator, and this I can speak to, being a content creator, you care more about the content of the show, having control over it. And I think that's what people are missing. People saying he's scared to debate this guy, and he didn't care anything about that, in my opinion. If Nick Wright was the reason why he didn't want a Nick Wright per se, and that's a rumor I've heard, and I believe that one. He doesn't want Nick Wright because Nick Wright's going to change the topics. Nick Wright's going to want to have say in the running. That's where he doesn't want to give it up, because I can understand that one. If the Ravori Sports podcast was on, and I had co-host or somebody else who's here or something like that, and somebody was great on there and the numbers went up, I don't care anything about that. I care about the content of the show, controlling the content of the podcast, controlling that's more what I would care about than like if somebody was better than me on camera. Like that's the fight here. I think he's going to do great. In short, I think this guy is fairly sincere at anything, and they're pivoting, and it's what he should do. And I'm all for the undisputed. We're going to talk about First Take next week. I think they're going to for sure talk about that too. They're going to for sure talk about Skip Bayless on the First Take premiere of that. How about this? Let's get a game graphic up. We haven't had this in a while. So we're going to have a game Saturday at SECU Stadium. You're formerly known as Bird Stadium in College Park. We're going to go ahead and have the first Terps game. Terps are back 8-5 last year. Head coach Mike Loxley is the coach. They're going against the Towson Tigers, formerly known as the Towson State Tigers, many years ago. So they are going to go ahead and get squared away Saturday at 3:30. So the Tigers, let's talk a little bit about them. The Tigers had Pete Shinnick as the head coach of the Towson Tigers. He's about 58 years old. He was the coach at West Florida last year. Rob Ambrose, who was the coach there for many years, he was coach from like 2009 to last year. He was fired mid-season. So he went ahead and was let go. They hired, and Coach Shinnick was hired in the off season as the new head coach of the Tigers. Last year, funny enough, the Tigers had a former Maryland quarterback, Tyron Pilgrim, as their starter there like that. He lost the job to Tua Tagovailoa, Tagovailoa, rather, and he was now playing at Towson. So we don't know who the Towson quarterback is. They had a quarterback competition of 5 players. So it's kind of like we don't know exactly what we're going to get here. These are the top 2 that was reported. Sean Brown Jr. and Nathan Kent. They were 2 of the 5. They're not saying, which is not unusual for a first game, that a coach doesn't like to go ahead and put that out there. But from everything I've read and seen, that these are the 2 guys that are going to be the 2 guys that are leading the quarterback competition. This is more sure. Devin Matthews, 5'9". He had 90 carries, 478 yards, 5 TDs. He was a leading rusher that's coming back. He was outstanding last year. Really quick, straight line runner. Really strong for his size. He's like not very tall, but he's got good strength. Like that. Also, too, he catches the ball out of the backfield very well for a running back. The Kendall James, this guy is their returning leading receiver. He's a senior. He's going to be one of their captains for sure. 46 receptions, 520 yards, and he has 3 touchdown receptions last year. So they have something to work with in terms of their receiving core as well. Tagovailoa is the quarterback. We're going to talk more about this, but is he the best quarterback in the Big Ten? We'll see about that. We'll talk more about that. 18 TDs, 8 interceptions last year, 3,000 yards passing. What Maryland has missed so many years is quarterbacks like this. They basically had a guy, and we just talked about it. He was at Towson. That's probably the level he should have been. They've had quarterbacks like that, true passing quarterback. Now, this is the strength of their football team. Robin Hemby and running back was very good. He had almost 1,000 yards rushing. Very strong guy. He's only going to get better. I really think this guy has NFL potential, draft all written all over him. Not the case yet, obviously, but he is definitely a guy that definitely has that type of potential. Not eligible yet. I think he has to play another year anyway. Jay Sean Jones. So he's going to be the best receiver without question. Let's see if he continues to do the great job on the special teams, kick and punt. Maybe he wants to show his versatility. Maybe they want him to focus on that. So 557 yards. I think this is going to be his go-to guy all season long. Maryland's offense is going to be really good. The question is, can they get enough defense? I don't think the defense is bad either, but they are going to have some. It's definitely not going to be the strongest offense. But defensively, offensively rather, nothing to worry about. They're going to be very, very good on offense, and they are going to be one of the best teams in the country on offense. I predict their offense is top 40 in the entire nation. So what's the score of the game? Prediction? Yeah. Towson is very near and dear to my heart. It was probably the school I lived. I don't know. I almost want to say I live closest to Towson. I don't know if that's true. I live near Loyola, all those schools, Morgan on that side of East Baltimore. So, but definitely it was near and dear to my heart. No chance here. No chance here. Collecting a check. This is one of the games that Deion Sanders talked about. Maryland can get a little preseason, get some reps in. Tigers can go ahead and check it out here. 50-0. I'm being kind and say that I've seen them more than that. So, but they wouldn't play this game if it wasn't that type of result. Baseball summer is over. This is our last one, and what a phenomenal thing we get to talk about today in terms of the last event of baseball summer, the Little League World Series. All right, so we have Wilmington Wilmington against El Segundo, California. You Sanford and Son fans, they always used to talk about El Segundo, Red Sox, El Segundo. So this is the real El Segundo Little League team. This game was beyond phenomenal. I think this was as good as any Little League game that I saw. These two teams are outstanding on both sides. I don't want to mess up his name here. Nasir El Assis for Wilmstead hit the granny in the fifth inning there to tie the score 5-5. So they were down 5-1. They went ahead and loaded the bases and hit the granny to go ahead and tie it. So it's a great way to battle back in the fifth inning. It was outstanding stuff that happened in the fifth. Pressure, clutch. These crowds at Williamsport as well, my goodness, 20, they had to have at least 25,000 people there at least. So that's a lot of pressure for these little kids, little kids, my daughter's age out there playing baseball. So outstanding stuff there, but it was great pressure in the sixth inning. But what Jim Palmer used to say calling the games when he used to call Little League World Series, the man child, Louis Lappy, went ahead and hit the walk-off to hit the 2023 World Series. No question about it. They win 6-5 in the sixth inning. Bottom of the sixth, like Little League Series games, only 6 innings as well. Phenomenal stuff. This was it was no doubt about it. He played third base. Again, Jim Palmer would call him the man child as well. That's what you pretty much kind of call the best Little League Series player. So phenomenal event. I think that baseball is its purest form. I'm gonna say one thing negative, but to watch the emotion of these young men out there on the field, the coach all jumping up and down, fans jumping up and down. I think it's great for the parents and the families for them to experience an event like that, play baseball without contracts and all the other stuff. So outstanding stuff for the Little League World Series. It was great. I thought it was. I'm gonna bring this up though. This is negative about the Little League World Series. As great as I think the event is, as much as I love baseball, there are ringers out there. That kid that hit the homer, if we'd have went out, people would have thought I was his son. In terms of height, even the coach was like, yeah, "No, look at up in the air at him." I that's kind of what I thought with that. They definitely have kids. Adults need to do better instead of having these kids that are 15, 16. That kid looked about 15. I mean, you're supposed to be no older than 13, from what I understand. That kid was at least, he looked about 15 or 16. He was, had to be close to 6 feet at 30. So, otherwise, it was fantastic. And thank you very much for joining us here for Baseball Summer as well. I've enjoyed it. Baseball all summer long keeps us company. Now we're into the fall. So we've enjoyed talking about minor league baseball. We've enjoyed talking about the Little League World Series. We've enjoyed talking about the draft and all those other things baseball related that are not the major leagues, not the Orioles. Living here now, not in Baltimore anymore, in a small town, I've enjoyed that as much as I've had the major leagues. And I really enjoyed the major leagues, by the way. But I've enjoyed that a lot. And I think watching young people play baseball at the smallest level, especially summer, and just to quote again, John Miller, baseball keeps us company all summer. And it certainly has for me. And I definitely think so. Definitely next season, if you're the type that has only been to an Oriole game or MLB game, check out the Tides game, check out a Bay Sox game, check out a Keys game, check out a Nats game. Hagerstown is going to have a new team. The name is ridiculous, the Boxcars, but whatever. The Little League World Series, all these things. Definitely check it out. So baseball is great during the summer. So we're going to check it out. So move into fall. Let's check out our Baltimore Orioles. We're going to go ahead and recap the month here, day early. So we're recording this before the game on Wednesday. So I know we're watching this on Wednesday night, so we're only going to do the record up until the 30th, which is 83-49, won 8 out of the last 10. The last one we saw very convincingly over the White Sox, not only first in the American League East, first in the entire American League. Outstanding stuff from the Orioles. So let's take a look here at the batting order. Batting order has been changing a lot. It's starting to settle a little bit. I've kind of noticed that. Used to have different lineup cards every night and things like that. Now we're kind of okay. Now we're getting to the lineups for the playoffs now. Xeroxing the lineup card a little bit more. Adley Rutschman, unquestioned leader of the team. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Adley's having a phenomenal season. I don't care. I don't like him hitting first. I think you're leaving RBIs on the table by doing that. I know why they're doing it, because everybody wants to have, because he's got the highest on base percentage and all that. I don't care. I would put, I don't want to leave RBIs on the field. I think that's kind of what they've done, as good as they've been. But I think they've kind of done that. Gunnar, I think, is now pushing for the Rookie of the Year award in the AL. Gunnar's been phenomenal. Gunnar's, I think, his average, he's a bit streaky, but I think that's okay for a young player. His bat speed, I love it. You're not going to get fastballs by Gunnar like that. He'll get fooled sometimes because he's still young, but he's going to hit that stuff like more often than not. You're not going to throw heat past him. That doesn't work. Tony Tatters, It's the name I've been hearing lately. He's going to lead the team in home runs again. He is on a phenomenal roll right now. He's so hot and cold at times. There are times he's had a month of August, like he just looks like this great player, and then he'll kind of go cold for like a month and a half or whatever. So his hot streaks are well worth it, though. I tell you, he's really on a roll right now. Almost as hot. Mountcastle no longer swings at bad balls. Definitely put that in there. He maybe that's overstating it a bit, but much better since he came back. Not swinging at all this garbage. Kind of has some more play discipline. Hits the ball well. Hitting the ball to all fields. Not just hitting for power either. He's hitting for power, but it's just hitting all fields. So doing very well. Having a career year, Ryan O'Hearn. Few less at bats. I think they've been using Mountcastle at first, and it hasn't mattered. He's been outstanding. Situational hitting with him has been A plus. Hitting the ball at the right times, getting hits at the right situation has been Ryan O'Hearn. Austin Hayes still kind of going under the radar. For some reason, he wasn't getting as many at bats. I was kind of almost wondering was he hurt or something. But I kind of like O'Hearn. I think with the musical chairs, maybe just playing less, it's been really good. Ryan O'Hearn, I think, is pretty good as well. Cedric Mullins, I definitely want him back in the leadoff spot. I don't like him where I think he's a little less effective. I think he's been not as good as he could be, but I think he's been solid. He's kind of on his way back, I think, more and more. I think the hitting isn't as good as it was. I think the other stuff isn't well. You could tell he's kind of not 100% or however you want to put it. But I want him back in the league spot. I want them to want Reshman a little bit lower. But no real big complaints from Cedric. I put Adam Frazier and Urias at the third. Kind of splitting it around a bit. Really good part-time numbers from Frazier. I think his average isn't good, isn't great. He hasn't had a great month this month. I think that's why he's been playing less. But I think the power numbers are definitely there. I mean, he's definitely hitting for power this season. Urias again, power is down. Still playing. I got no beef with Urias. I think him not playing every day has hurt him the most. I think this is very difficult the way he's doing the lineup card, Brandon Hyde. For some guys, I think Cole Cowser was a guy. Some guy, it's tough to go in and out, not know where you're playing, and that's tough to do. It's a lot easier mentally to get ready when you actually know. And Jordan Westberg, penciling in at second base in 2024 without the question. I think he has been very good. He's been good. His average hasn't been as high as I had hoped, but I mean, still very good for a young player. Jack Flaherty, 8-8, 4.73 ERA, kind of missed the start there as well. Got no problem with Flaherty here so far. Dean Kramer, 13-5, won his last game, 4.20 ERA. Kramer's winning a lot of games. I mean, Kramer has got a shot at win 15 games along with Kyle Gibson, 13-7, 4.89 ERA. The last two guys I have been outstanding. I think Bradish has been really good. Again, the only negative, I don't love the fact he doesn't pitch more innings. I like to see that, but other than that, he's been great. His ERA maybe under 2 all season. He's really good. I did put it out there that who would you start in game 1 in the playoff series? The most people answer Kyle Bradish. So that's saying something. Grayson, I think, is pretty much developing, and like you're saying, Westberg is developing into the leader for 2024 at second base. Grayson, the time is maybe coming. He's getting better and better and better with every start. He was phenomenal, I thought, in his last start. He's been really good. So we got the bad news. Batista got injured, so he's on the UL. So a UCL. Hopefully, it's just 15 days. We can get him back. He's been really good all season. Yadier Cano, 4 saves, 1.56 ERA. He's been great. Kaleno Perez, somebody tell somebody. He's been great down the stretch. Looked like a lost season. DFA'd. He's been fantastic here lately. So Kalena Perez has been excellent. Danny Colombe just come off the injury. He's been really good. 2 saves as well. Jacob Webb, pickup from the Angels, 3.48 ERA, 1 save as well. Cole Irvin has been, this is probably the best role for him, the bullpen guy. I think he's been really good. Fujinami, I don't know why they keep giving him so much. Somebody believes in him. He's been uneven. I think I got it every time I'm ready to say, all right, man, this guy is really, and then he has a more bad start. ERA very high, but he so much as anybody getting a lot of opportunities. So Nick Vespi is 2.61 ERA. They keep shoveling these guys up and down, like Austin Voth. Last one, gotta talk about DL Hall. How cool was it the other night to see Grayson Rodriguez and DL Hall in the same game performing well? Fantastic. DL, I'm starting to think they're going to leave him in the bullpen. He's going to be very tough to deal with in the bullpen. But that 100-mile-an-hour fastball in the left hand, I don't know if they're ready to give up as a starter, but I think he would be great in the bullpen. All right. So there you go. We went ahead and we got that taken care of. Orioles in clear command. Can they get the number 1 seed in all of baseball in the playoffs? Make sure you go downtown and get your playoff tickets now. Got some tickets. So thank you very much for joining us for the Ravery Sports Podcast, the Baltimore Sports Podcast. Big week this week, like I said. So we're going to do our Maryland Terps preview. We're going to do that Friday. Sunday night, you're going to be able to look at the NFL preview predictions. And again, our Genesis Notary Services live stream, that's going to be on the Genesis Notary Services Facebook page. I'll be doing that, talking about the notary business. Thank you very much for joining us for the Ravery Sports Podcast. You enjoy the rest of your day.